Think about, though, the momentum swings after the Steelers took the 19-18 lead on the touchdown pass from Russell Wilson to Calvin Austin III. The Browns start driving down the field. The Steelers get the interception. They have the ball 1st and 10 on their own 24. Najee Harris runs for 3 yards. Najee Harris runs again for 3 yards. It's 3rd and 4. The ultimate, you can run it, you can throw it. You don't have to throw it down the field there. You can throw a short pass. You got a lot of options. You got a lot of weapons in the arsenal when it's 3rd and 4. Justin Fields is out there, and he throws the deep ball to George Pickens. After the Browns had already used a timeout, they're already concerned about the clock because I think the Browns knew, and Kevin Stefanski, the coach of the Browns, said something to this effect afterward. We didn't feel very good about making a field goal. You're down a point. I don't know how close you got to be to make a reliable field goal to win the game. So they were already concerned about time. By throwing that pass, you saved them a timeout. You avoided the opportunity to milk 40 seconds off the clock and make it harder for the Browns. And then, this doesn't get discussed enough, not that there's been much time to discuss the game. Corliss Waitman kicks the 15-yard punt, sets the table for the Browns to drive down the field and win the game. It was an amazing turn of events. And it still felt like the Steelers were going to find a way to stop them, up to and including that 3rd and 2 play where it sure looked like intentional grounding to me. I don't need to parse through the rule book to know what intentional grounding looks like. What saved Jameis Winston was a provision in the rules that if you are, after you begin your throwing motion, significantly affected by a hit from a defender in a way that causes the ball to land in a spot where it isn't in the direction or vicinity of an eligible receiver, it's not grounding. I don't care about that rule. I know grounding when I see it. And that was Jameis Winston saying, oh, bleep, Patrick Queen's in my face. I got to get rid of the football. That's what happened there. And the fact that he got hit as he was throwing doesn't, in my mind, save that from being intentional grounding. That just looks like intentional grounding. You know it when you see it. And I think that was grounding. And they applied some obscure exception in the rule book to save him from what would have been 4th and 15 from the 38-yard line. Good luck with that.
Yeah, I don't even think it would be. It's a question that it was grounding. The defender was in his face, and he just simply threw it at the lineman's feet. And it's once again, we talk about the face mask when we were talking about Minnesota. I mean, these are plays that can change the course of the game. And you have to be able to make these calls. You got all these officials. You got the people in New York. You got all these cameras. Just simply make the play. Make the call. Why is it so hard to make the call? I mean, that was clear. That was obvious. And that's easy for an NFL game.
I was hoping there would be a pool report after the game. The officials aren't subject to the same requirement that everyone else is to be available to the press. But when there is a specific question, they'll make the official available to one reporter to have a little bit of a back and forth. The rule says this: intentional grounding shall not be called if the passer initiates his motion toward an eligible receiver and then is significantly affected by physical contact from a defensive player that causes the pass to land in an area that isn't in the direction and vicinity of the receiver. Okay, what I missed last night, because I was trying to do this before I went to bed, the motion has to initiate toward an eligible receiver. If we can show that again, he's not initiating the motion toward anyone. This is just, oh crap, I got to get rid of the ball, period. And it's grounding. I feel more strongly about it now than I did last night. This is the classic, I'm about to get sacked, I can't get sacked, I just got to throw the ball away and hope it lands close to somebody who's eligible to catch it, not in the hands of a lineman. Yeah,
it was 5 offensive linemen. I don't even know what makes it so hard. You got all those officials staring at the center in that area, that inner, the inner part of that offensive line. You got 5 and 6 offensive linemen sitting there. He clearly throws it at the feet, and it's frustrating when you see that. This is not a hard call to make, Mike. Go ahead.
And Rodney, that rule is there, and this is what happens. And Tony Dungy says this from time to time. There are too many rules in the rule book because the language that they put in there, it eventually swallows up common sense. That rule is there for a situation where, and picture Tom Brady on your old Patriots team. He drops back to pass. He sees Deion Branch wide open, and he cranks back to throw, and as he starts to throw, he gets hit by a defensive player, and the ball pops out and lands in a spot where there's nobody. Oh, that's intentional grounding. No, it's not, because he wasn't trying to throw it to the spot where nobody was. He saw Deion Branch, he's aiming at Deion Branch, and he gets hit, and the ball pop guns into a spot where no one was there. It's not grounding. So that makes sense, but that's not what happened. And Terry McAulay kind of went down that path with the exception, but he said that's why it wasn't grounding. I wish they would have spent a little more time saying, wait a minute. That really doesn't apply here. This was Jameis Winston trying to avoid 4th and 15 from the 38. And the Steelers win the game if that's the case. Now, maybe the Browns would have pulled a rabbit out of the hat or somewhere else and converted 4th and 15 under those elements, but I'd be willing to bet the under on that. So that's a key moment. It was a key moment. That was the key moment in the game because that kept that drive going that allowed the Browns to score the decisive points.
Yeah, another key moment too. And I'm looking at the Steelers defense, and this is the second time this year that I've seen them personally just not be able to finish games. We were there when they played against the Dallas Cowboys in Pittsburgh. They weren't able to finish at the end of the game. They weren't able to finish, and it's something going on with that defense. And to me, I look at Minka Fitzpatrick, and I like him. I think he's a very talented young man, but I don't think they're playing him in the right situation. They got him deep a lot of times, playing 25 yards in the deep part of the field. And when he was at University of Alabama, he played nickelback. He became the best DB in all of the country because he was closer to the line of scrimmage. And I just don't see him making a lot of plays on the football. He's making a lot of tackles. You're paying him $18 to $20 million a year. You got to get him more involved in the defense, Mike Tomlin. I had a personal conversation with Mike Tomlin about this. And he said, he's got some other parts going on where if you move Minka, then you have to put somebody else. You got to do what you got to do at the end of the day. This kid is getting paid a lot of money, and he's not making enough plays.
Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.